Hello, this is Hello, this is Everett Pierce of Einstein 314. It is January the 18th, 2017. Now, this is the tree of knowledge, the second tree, which will be part 5 of the lesson of the day. Now, I like using the tree because the tree has so many dynamics to it in terms of symbolism, of teaching, and I guess you could say, a book is made out of paper, and paper is from trees or wood. Okay, so yesterday, or the other video that I presented to you, we was explaining here about how crazy, lunatic, schizophrenic, crazy man Everett talks to trees. I love how people describe me. So, communications. Now, we vacuum up all the leaves. And I would bet that you wouldn't perceive what I'm about to teach you. Okay. We vacuum all the leaves up. It was nice and tidy and everything. And so one of the elements that you would perceive on here, this tree has a job. And its job, and it's going to do it consistently of what it is inscribed for it to do. That's all it needs to do. It just needs to be stayed firmly planted into the ground. There are variables that is out of its control. It can't control the water that comes to it, and even the sunlight, actually. I mean, if it's overcast all the time, but sunlight with solar ray, it still comes through the clouds. So a tree is always doing something. Energy is always doing something. So that is symbolism of MC, of my E equals MC squared. Mass constant is always doing something. So for the fact that I cleaned this up, and it was yesterday, and now here we are a day later, and now we have all these leaves. It even goes way back here. So one of the things you can make an assessment from this tree is the tree's not lazy. In some situations, especially on a cleanup, it's like there are times when you want something to be lazy, and then there are other times where you don't want people or things to be lazy. And one thing you can count on this tree, it's not going to be lazy. It's going to do its job every single day of the year, 365 days, 24/7. And it's also ties into our government. It ties into every single individual out there who is a apprentice of leadership. Meaning every single day you're going to have to take time to do some cleanup. Clean up your thoughts, clean up the way you do things. And that's why, the term of the United States, we hold these truths to be self-evident. Why did I use the word hold? And it's in reference to evolution. Because if I'm holding something, eventually, I will fall asleep and I will let it go. That's symbolism. Meaning, in terms of your evolutionary concepts in which you have adopted, eventually, once evolution starts overlapping and you move in evolution, eventually, you're going to look and say, okay, stone wheel, rubber tire. Stone wheel, rubber tire. Okay, well, we're going to relinquish this because we're holding this concept for transportation, and we're going to let it go. We're not going to forget about it, but we're going to adopt a new evolutionary concept of the rubber tire. Well, that's what the United States is built on. It's not on a particular nationality or religion. It is on an evolutionary concept of a better way of doing things, of greatness. And that's why Trump used the quote, "Make America Great Again." Because it's essentially, which is true, I can spend the next 1,000 lifetimes explaining as to why we are at a low functionality compared to where we should be. Okay, because of our government. how it's set up in comparison to the functionality we have in the seventh heaven. Okay, so essentially what we would is using our power observation, not to mention that is my back is facing the sun, even though that's not being said or indicated, but because you see my shadow, and being that I'm, okay, right now, this would be facing east. Okay, that's facing east. So when you see with my shadow, as earlier time of clocks, the sundial, oh my goodness, I put arms together, almost look like a head of a penis. Oh shoot, I'm going to hell now. Okay. So in terms of evolution, is now you can say this tree is not lazy. Well, if you're energy, you always have to be doing something. So it's to your benefit to partake in the path in which you're traveling, or being energy, the act of doing something. And we know with the trees that remind us every day, especially if you're a homeowner, and everyone lives in a home, and we all know chores and laundry and dishes, and it's a never-ending cycle. Well, evolution, that's part of evolution. Self-maintenance, adopting evolution concepts, being a leader of leaders, is what I do today as a leader might different tomorrow, because we'll just say if ISIS has a spiritual awakening, they say, oh, we no longer kill Americans. Okay, and we truly, they own it, they sell it, and we believe it, and we see the results of it, then we would have to stop our pursuits to destroy them, to bring extinction to that particular of life form. Which that would please me all to no end, because I don't like the idea of eliminating another life or another thing. But if self-preservation or is at jeopardy and you want to kill everyone, then I have to do an act of eliminating you to save the bigger as a whole. So one thing you can say about this tree, it is always working and it's never lazy. Because look at all these leaves. And injunction means its ally is the wind. Its wind helps to carry out its fruits of its labor, dropping off leaves. The fruits of its labor. So, just another, we could spend so much time on so many video series just on the tree alone. You'll be saying, yeah, but no more trees, for the love of God. Try something else. Okay, well, there's an olive branch. Oh, wait a minute, that's part of a tree. Or is it a tree? Okay, so the moral of the story today is, whether you're human race, or you're a tree, is we all have a job. Even water, hydrogen, oxygen. They don't have the liberties to get into hatred and likes and dislikes. They focus on their functionality, and if they are needed to be as water, then they come together in unity on a H2O, on a 2-1 factor, to bring about other good things, because when they are operating in a high functionality, means as water, then you and I get to exist in the physical realms of energy. So this tree is never lazy. This was all cleaned up yesterday. And if I clean it up today, we could have another video tomorrow. And the thing is, we're in January. Isn't leaves supposed to drop in the fall? Something to think about. Okay, so we'll keep this nice and short, but just this lesson and what this tree wants to convey today to all the people out there who haven't developed their sense of communication to talk to a tree, talk to many forms of life, and see, I deposit information into this tree. So, not that it would happen, but if I was to die today and I get reincarnated tomorrow and I eventually find this place again, I can contribute to my self-discovery by extracting information that I plan to put into this tree. But it goes beyond the tree. As we know with electricity hits, it wants to go into the ground. So the storage bin, the tree is just like a USB. That's like a USB. And what it goes into? The ground. So what it goes into, the electricity hits the tree and goes into the ground. So essentially when I talk to the tree is sending the information into the ground. So when I need to extract it, I just find another tree and develop another relationship. So it gets to know me, I get to know it. And especially if you're going to prune a tree, just like anyone going to, my mom's been a beautician all her life. She loves beautifying people, as she says. So the tree's going to tell you how it wants its haircut. I prefer it that way. And then a lot of people, when they observe after I get done pruning a tree, and they'll say, wow, Everett, I didn't know you could do that. Boy, that looks awesome. And I don't want to take all the credit, but some people don't understand. And I say, well, thank you. But some of them I said, well, it wasn't me. The tree told me to cut it like that. And then people look at you crazy like, you're not one of those crazy guys, are you? So, we got children in the background. Oh, he's on a skateboard. The benefits of a skateboard. Uh-oh. I'm not laughing at him, but it's, you know, and in fact, that's another lesson right there, and also with the leaves. That's why we do a cleanup, self-inventory. And if you haven't done it in a while in your yard, I mean, symbolism, a parable, that's why we have vacations. That's why companies have, you know, they have inventory to see where you're at, where you should be, and make any modifications or changes to enhance yourself. So this lesson here can be applied to, it's a universal teaching tool, meaning that you can apply it to essentially everything in the universe. Everything. And that's why I focus, and that's why I like certain things, and a tree is one of them. And I can use many of the tools here, and that's why certain trees were brought here, because of their teaching value. And as we know, we have certain trees like, you know, pine trees, pines that, you know, they don't, you know, they stay green pretty much throughout the year, but some don't, some change. And it's the changing aspect, which is an evolutionary process. And that's why on the seventh heaven, I have presidential apprentices. Because as we learn, and also will reiterate in my job series, is after a while, and we learn that from even bars, people get bored. Okay, so it's not that they don't like it or love it or anything like that, but because of the evolutionary process, it's like we get bored. And people see that in relationships as well. It's like they get bored and then they don't put into that relationship, and then, you know, the sex goes down and the communication goes down, and then it's that element of energy. You know, you get desensitized, you know, like cologne or perfume. You put it on half hour later, you don't smell it. You know, even though it's still there and people can smell you a block away. So there are many things to learn. And you say the book of life, we mean the book of life, it's all around you. And I haven't even, I mean, this is just elementary. It's like the introductory to a book, you know, a foreword. I haven't really got into the heavy, you know, meat and potatoes of things of if you are truly wanting the book of life or book of God. The book of God is all around you. It essentially is. Because God's, you know, the highest level of evolution, it will be in such abundance. There will be no mistaking, so no one out there can have an excuse. Well, I'm just a victim and I don't know where the book is and I don't know how to get it. And the Word of God, the teaching tools, as simple as a tree. is the Word of God. The things, the dynamics, and if you use even a caveman, back in its day, observing clouds, use it as terms of, functionality and communications. So now you know why I like trees. Because of the multitude of benefits that come from the tree. Now, if you're going to cut down a tree, maybe for a house, for paper. But, the common sense of it is like if you cut down a tree, and you know that survivability on planting seeds is 1 in 10, then make sure you plant 10 seeds. So you have at least one tree growing back. And if you have a forest where you have, say, 10,000 trees that got burnt down because of unknown factors, unforeseeable or uncontrollable things, and there's 10,000 destroyed, then you may have to, you're going to have to plant 100,000 seeds, because they give off oxygen, but they take in our carbon dioxide. So there's an ecosystem here. What they need, we give them. And what we need, they give off. So that's, the circle of life in that respect. And that's why we have to understand all levels of energy, all levels of plants and insects and people, and just start orienting ourselves and start viewing it, instead of viewing it as a used big lighter, is repurposing, looking at its functions. And like I was saying in terms of jobs, it's like if you've never seen beyond the wall in USP Atlanta, and you haven't seen the people, you haven't even seen the buildings, how do you know what's beyond that wall? So that's why you have to be aware of limitations. Just like this tree. This tree knows its limitations. It has to stay in one spot in order to be functional. It has to be rooted into the ground. From dust we come, to dust we return. So if there's any label that we are 50 million shades of brown. But when the dust settles, is our bones. And we have white in our American flag, and white is symbolism to symbolize, because it's our bones that is recognized to say, oh, that's the human race. Oh, that's T-Rex. Oh, that's the raptor. Or that's a bird. That's a snake. It is our bones. And most of life out there has bones. Either it's bones inside, interior structure, or externally. And as we have learned with insects, sometimes their skeleton is on the outside. The yin-yang. Sometimes it's on the outside. Sometimes on the inside. But the human body, the human race, meaning everyone on this planet, the sixth heaven, is the human body is a superior design of warfare. Warfare, you can say, what kind of warfare? Because if you're going to be forever life, then your true enemy is extinction. As we have experienced and learned from the dinosaurs. And extinction comes on many levels. So that's the lesson of the day. Using a tree. Is I go to the seventh heaven and I say, okay, people, the lesson of the day is a tree. Oh no, not the tree. For the love of God, ever leave the tree alone. But there is a lot of things. And what's nice about as a teacher, if I got stuck on just teaching from the tree perspective, I'd be a horrible teacher. I'd be, because I also have to encourage you to look at other things, everything, and just use that as an example of how you can take that in depth of the book of God, the book of highest form of evolution, and start looking at a cactus. And we got cactuses over here. We got pavers. We got lights. We got LED. Everything in this yard. And even we got a hummingbird here. Oop, I don't know if I caught him in the video, but he was there. Oop, little fast little sucker. Everything. Cactus. Everything in here I could write a volume of books that would surpass and make the encyclopedia seem like a damn brochure on your doorstep. But, you know, it's because I have the love and passion for energy. I have the love and passion for forever life. And anytime I can minimize extinction's power and outreach, but still keep it alive, I always do it. So every day, either you want to or not. You only say, well, yeah, you can leave this for months at a time. And what you'll end up doing in terms of cause and effect, all these leaves will go into your neighbor's yard, and then they'll get pissed off at you. And then you might have some of those neighbors that might get pissed off and come over and stick a knife in your tire, or paint pig on your door, or God knows what creativity could come out of, because you not doing your job, not appreciating your job, not looking at it from different perspectives, and not doing maintenance, just basic maintenance. You know, we have basic maintenance. That's drink some water, eat some food, you know, so air, and then we have water, and then food and sex. And if you exempt any one of those, then you start suffering, because those are the basic elements. So maintenance. So yeah, sex is a maintenance on top of being procreation, bringing about new life. But a lot of people, you know, have different perspective when it comes to sex. You know, they see it as just as a means of bringing babies. And then other people see sex as some creation of the devil and demons. And then other people like me, I see it from all levels. And I love every area of it, because there's so much teaching tools of sex and sexuality. And that's the easy part. You know, and then energy says, oh, but I got some more tools, but, you know, they're not going to be in an area in which you like. And that's why we have to open up our minds. And because you may have to tread areas in which you don't like. In fact, you may even hate. Maybe it's a sewer where it's got 3 feet of shit. And they're just, well, I got a real valuable tool down there, but you got to crawl through some shit. And then you may have a hard time keeping your lunch down for the smell of it. But you'll have to find your way to work to that secret, that skill, that insight of energy, if you want to obtain that tool. So energy puts a lot of tools in many different areas, facets of our life. And the easiest one, and everyone, pretty much anyways, we're saying at least 90% of the people out there actually enjoy sex. Doesn't mean they know how to do it correctly or carry it out in a high functional aspect of it, but it's definitely an area that you're not gonna have to twist many people's arm when it comes to sex and sexuality. They'll sign up and say, hey, please, can I have some more? Okay, but there's other areas of life that you're going to have to tread some rough waters, areas that you don't like. So you got to take the good, the bad, and the ugly, and just stay focused on your path of what you want to obtain, what kind of tools, what kind of abilities. And that's what this tree teaches you. So for those who are so quick to be shut off, is one thing leads into another, into another, into another, and before you know it, you're saying, holy shit, I wanted a book of life, and now I got the fucking encyclopedia. And you say, wait a minute, oh, that's just the introductory. Holy shit. And then some people get scared and they say, oh God, that means I got to do some work. And the tree says, shut up, you pussy. I do this shit every single day. You tell me that you can't try to stay up and at least, do your fair share of work. I do this every single day. And I don't have the liberties of getting out and going any particular place I want to go. So my certain limitations, I have set limitations upon me, and I have no control over. Now, unless I dig this tree up, and then it says, yeah, baby, take me down to Florida. Or let's go to Hawaii, baby. Okay, so anyways, we'll end it right here. But I don't know if you know, but I do like using the tree as a good parable, a good teaching tool, because it targets so many levels of evolution. It's unbelievable. And I also use the parable of a caveman. So that's why I use certain parables to express or convey certain messages. But when you read out of a text, there are just some things lost in translation. So that's why you have many tools. That's why a mechanic has many tools. So it can stay on high functionality. It means he's able to take your starter off, put a new one on, and then keep you down the road and keep you functional. And that's what this tree does. It was as a little kid, young boy, and it was like we had a tree, and several out front. And that's why some people thought I was crazy. I'd be out front. A lot of times, like my mom has said, and what I would do, I would strip naked and run outside. And if I wasn't doing that, I was standing next to the tree out front and talking to it. And that's why, because people's limited mind and thinking, some of these people actually truly thought I was crazy. Like, who goes around talking to trees? I do. If you develop your sense of communication, you'll be amazed what you can uncover. And once you open up that barn door, open up all the windows and rip that roof off. And it's like, yeah, okay, now we're talking. So we'll end it right here on this 18th day of January 2017. And it's 2 more days. And then President Trump is inauguration. And it's a day that I have long awaited. Yeah, like a million evolutionary resets long awaiting. Okay, so we'll end it right there. So if you're tired of hearing about a tree, you just have to get used to it. Because, a lot of people bitch and complain how they don't have the book of life and how they're so a victim of this and that, So we're going to start with the tree and we're going to move on to other things. And I'm surely, when I get to the area of the topic of sex and sexuality, I'll definitely have everyone's attention there. So it's called 100 Shades of Everett. But in a good sense. I'm not much into the pain aspect of it, but I do understand the significance of pain being associated with pleasure. So, and once we get in that topic, I bet I'll have about 7 billion people's attention at that moment. So, but that's a topic unto itself. And with that, I appreciate your time, because your time is valuable like mine. And Godspeed. Thank you.